Welcome, everybody. This is our first night of our Python programming class here at WCTC. It is March 25th, 2024 at 6:11 p.m. that we're getting started. As is required by college policy and really any standard college course, we need to go through the syllabus first so we know what we're learning and what our parameters are for learning. This is a one credit course, and so it's not your standard, like many of our other courses here, 3 credit courses. We do have some that are 2 credit courses too, but Python is a one credit course. Given the fact that I do teach for a different institution where I teach a lot of these same materials, when I first looked at the course materials, it shocked me that there's a lot of material in here. As much as I teach in my 3 credit course at the other institution where I teach, and we do move really, really fast, right? We only have a few weeks to get through all the material. So, real frankly, the coverage of the material is somewhat superficial, right? And you will deepen your knowledge when you go into your future courses. This is by design. I think many of you are probably moving into the data analytics program or possibly the new AI program that's coming up, or you're taking this course as an elective as part of your web program or software program, or maybe you just want to learn a little Python because you think it's cool or you heard it's the language to learn. Any of those scenarios, welcome to the class, and you will learn a lot about the language even tonight because we will be coding before we leave here today. It is spring semester 2024. We're in the second term of spring semester. We're starting on March 25th. We will end on April 22nd. We will have class every Monday evening on Zoom from 6 to 10 p.m. I do plan on starting very promptly every week and using every possible minute of the class. I also have a habit, or at least I try to have the habit, of making sure that we take a break, hopefully once per hour for 5 minutes. Given a 4-hour class, we'll have 3 breaks, and I try to make the middle break a little bit longer. It just kind of varies, but that's kind of my general plan. So I try to keep an eye on the clock, find logical stopping points, and then we take a break. This course does not have any prerequisites, so you can come in fresh off the street and take this class without any knowledge of coding or IT or computer science or any of that stuff. However, we will go pretty deep pretty quick, right? So I just want you guys to fasten your safety belt. And this really will require a little bit of diligence on your part to be successful in this class. There's no textbook. We use strictly online materials to support the learning. I will show you a couple of useful sites where you can go. And on occasion, we will probably have people here in the session that will share good stuff, or I will find really cool links to share with you. And we'll do that kind of incrementally as we go. All right, my name formally in Greek, it's my given nationality by birth. You say my name as Takis, technically. Nobody calls me that, though. Everybody pretty much calls me Ty, like Ty. If you feel comfortable calling me Takis, feel free. But generally, most of my education compatriots and professional compatriots call me Ty. I have my email address and my Zoom link listed here. We'll consider email the primary form of communication. I am not a full-time instructor at WCTC. I actually chair the IT department for Gateway Technical College down in Racine, Kenosha, and Walworth counties. And in that school, I not only oversee all the faculty and all the IT programs, but I teach in the web, software, data analytics, and now AI programs that we're spinning up. And so I've been doing this for quite a long time. From a teaching perspective, I've been a full-time instructor now for over 10 years, but have been teaching for about 25. I've been working in IT since I graduated from college back in the mid-90s. And have been fascinated with computers ever since I first got one in my hands. And I started personally on an old Apple IIe that was given to me, and it just kind of went from there. I was like, wow, this is really cool. I want to learn more, and I would encourage you guys to do the same thing. The one thing I will tell anybody in here that's here because you want to earn a degree that will lead to gainful employment. You know, you've come to the right place. The technical college is really one of the best places to learn how to code. Um, and I say this from the experience of having gone to 4-year and above institutions, where you get instructors that teach you that have never coded professionally a day in their lives, but they're teaching you how to code. And I didn't realize this when I was in a 4-year school that that's how it was. And then when I got the job, both here at CTC and at Gateway, you don't get the job unless you've had significant field experience. You know, that's how technical colleges are different, and really, therefore, a much better educational value in these technology fields often than 4-year institutions are. And I'm just putting it out there because all of us have done the work. You know, it's not like we're coming in cold off the street and reading a book and teaching you stuff. Now, the fact that you know, I don't have an office at the campus means I don't have a phone number there. So you'll have to use email to reach out to me. And then in terms of office hours, because I know sometimes some of you will need some extra help or want to connect with me, I will always be available the hour preceding class, any given night of class. So I will be online from 5 o'clock on. You just hop into the session. If you need to meet with me outside of that time frame, send me an email. We can make an arrangement. We can meet on Zoom. I tend to be more free in the mornings, but I am also free in some evenings and afternoons as well. I typically am not available on weekends. I have a life and a wife and kids and homes and stuff that I do too. Although I do check in on email, and if you have some like urgent concern and I can connect, I will. But often my response time is slower on the weekends. All right. Let's talk about, you know, the competencies. And when we look at competencies for any course, that's really what we're teaching you. You know, that's what our goals are. You know, and I always tell my instructors at Gateway, you know, if you can deliver these bullets, you're successful as an instructor. And some of these are pretty wide open. We will learn how to take what I would call basic programming problems, figure out how to solve them using a variety of different tools, while also instructing you on kind of the techniques of all the language functions, right? And you'll see that as we go. Given the fact that we're not using a textbook, I'm not going to be PowerPointing you guys to death or anything like that. Most of it's going to be, I'm going to be coding and talking about what I'm doing as I'm coding, with occasion of just jumping over to a website and showing you some examples. And that's really going to be kind of the pattern for the class. This class was originally built by Patrick Gerber. So I know some of you guys have had Patrick as an instructor here at WCTC. What's really fascinating about Patrick, he was one of my adjunct instructors at Gateway, and I gave him his first teaching job way back when, right? So, you know, so we kind of go back a ways. But he teaches in very much the same ways that I like to teach, which is, I'm not a real lecture guy. I tend to be more of a hands-on, and all of the lab assignments and all of the assignments, we will physically do those in class together. So this will be very tutorial style. I feel it's one of the most effective ways to learn, you know, when it comes to coding. Well, they have some things here. We'll get into the technology stuff more when we get outside the syllabus thing, but generally speaking, in order to do your coding in this class, and I'll zoom in a little bit here, we're going to need the Python 3 libraries. Those are very easy to download and install, by the way. There's a good chance you may already have them on your system. You may have, you know, downloaded some other piece of software or had some other need to install Python for whatever reason. So it might already be there. I will make a note, though, that Python 3 is different than Python 2. The libraries are different. The syntax is different. And Python 3, I think right now, the latest stable version is up to like 3.12 or something like that. But any version 3 or above will work for this class. In terms of what you use as a coding tool, this is your choice. You know, it's kind of like me telling you, like, how do you plan to get to school? Well, you can take the bus, you can ride your bike, you can drive a car. I don't care which kind, as long as you get there. You know, that's kind of the point. Because Python is kind of like this very popular modern language right now. There's so many tools that you can use to code in it. We do have some favorites, right? I know here at CTC, one of their favorite coding tools is Visual Studio Code, and this is true for a lot of pros and a lot of people learning. I'm not the hugest fan of the product. I'm just going to kind of put it out there because I feel it's a little lightweight. I've been bending to it more and more, and I realize most of you will probably use that tool. So that's probably where I'll begin tonight in terms of what tool I use. There are some other really good tools. For example, if you are enrolled in anything data or AI related, I'm going to push you really hard to download the Anaconda distribution, which I have listed in the course, because it has a bunch of other tools built into it that are well suited for doing data analytics and artificial intelligence work. And I want you guys to listen to what I'm talking about here, because right now we're in this era, and you might not appreciate it, but the world has changed in like the last year. It's not like AI wasn't around before, but in the last year we have this thing that exploded called generative AI, right? Where you can give an AI a prompt and it will create content seemingly from scratch. It's not really how it works, um, but it's exploding. It's huge. It's kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time. I'm sure many of you have already tried it. Many of our devices, our phones, our tablets, our computers, heck, our automobiles even, have AI or AI like tools active within them. What I predict will happen, and this is just my prediction, is AI will not be something that will take your job in the future, but if you know how to leverage AI, it can benefit you, right? And already in professional workplaces, people are using AI to accelerate workflow and increase productivity, and that's what employers like. I mean, they want people who are productive and work quickly, and show up. That's a good one too. All right, so the tool you use is not really important. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Obviously, if you're here in a Zoom class, it's important that you have a good, stable, high-speed internet connection. And real frankly, I know that stuff can vary, right? What I do recommend to people is if you are really intent on doing school online or working online, don't go with base level internet service. So don't take like the Spectrum Basic or the AT&T Basic. If you can afford it, go up a tier or two. You will be very thankful, especially if you're in a household like I am, where I have a couple young adults and my wife, and we probably have like 50 or 60 devices on our network. And everybody's like YouTubing and streaming and gaming and chatting all at the same time. More bandwidth is important, but most home internet, and this is really important, you have high speed coming down to you, or down speed, but your up speed is actually the more important thing when you're connecting to sessions like this. So going up a couple tiers in your internet service increases that up speed significantly, and I highly recommend it. I have one of my instructors down at Gateway recently did the Starlink thing, because she lives out in a rural area where she couldn't get any high speed internet. She would tether off her phone, and she is loving it, by the way. It wasn't cheap, right? She had to buy all this gear, but it does work. And now we can Zoom with her and actually look at her during a Zoom session. So, that's an option if you don't have it. In terms of what hardware you should use, generally, you guys will discover this. Most IT work tends to be done on Windows-based PCs for whatever reason. It's also like 95% of the market share for consumers. So that tends to be the favored platform. Mac people, you'll be fine. You can do all this stuff on a Mac, no problem. I am multi-platform, so I do all the platforms, Linux too. So if I have any like true geeks here that are like, running some like weird Linux distro, you'll be fine as well, right? There's no reason to switch. But okay, so the people on the Linux platforms, I can support you a little bit, but when you start getting into weird distros that I haven't touched, and then you're kind of on your own, right? You can, if you are on a Mac or a Linux machine, you can also, run a virtual machine of Windows if you have to. And if that sounds like alien language to you, don't worry about it, right? Because we also have some web-based solutions that we can use to code in Python where you don't even need to install software. I'm not a huge fan, but as a stopgap measure, it does work, you know. And for example, right now, I'm teaching very much the same content to a group of high school students. Um, and boy, talk about interesting. A lot of them are, you know, technology hampered because of the machines at their school. You know, so they have like these computers that have like 2 gigs of RAM on them or something ridiculous like that. They barely can even boot, and they're trying to code. One general rule of thumb is if you're really serious about coding, like you are about your computer gaming, coding requires high-end gear, right? You don't want to get into a race, you know, on a bicycle. You want to get into a race with a motorcycle with a big motor, you know. And so modern CPU, lots of RAM, lots of hard drive, preferably SSD, great bandwidth, good graphics driver, all that stuff. I would call a requirement for a computer professional. Um, all right, I think that's enough on that. We have some of our kind of standard policies listed here. There's a breakdown here between, you know, the labs and the homework. I'm not sure if that percentage is accurate. I'm just telling you guys that because I am in the process of rebuilding all the due dates and which assignments we're doing. Right now, I have modules 1 and 2 set. I'm just, you know, full disclosure, those are the ones I have ready to go. So some of these percentages might change. If they do change, I will publish that for you so that you're completely aware. And by next week, I'll have all the due dates listed out for you in their entirety so you can kind of plan your time wisely. We do have the standard grading scale here at WCTC, and what will happen is as we grade the work, we'll take the total number of points that you've earned divided by the total number of points possible, and then we'll come up with a percentage. We'll drop it against this grading scale, and that's the grade you're going to earn. I just want to let you guys know right now that I don't have any components built in here for participation or attendance. I consider those givens. You guys want to do this, right? You know, so I'm not going to sit there and grade you on it. I'm just going to grade you on the functional tasks we do. We will do a combination of what I call labs, which is I'm talking through the concepts and showing you how to do it. We're building it as we go. All you have to do is code along with me and get it to work, right? Those are your labs. And then we have assignments where sometimes I will code those in class, but typically it'll be more of a challenge where you take that home and try to work on it. And then when we come back next week, I will show you the solution, right? Time permitting, and I'm not really sure how tonight's going to play out, but I was doing a little bit of a calculation and I realized, oh my God, we have 5 weeks of class, but I have 6 modules. How is that going to work? Yeah, you know, so we're going to have to do a little bit of like hurry up in spots to kind of make that happen. And I'm still kind of adjusting things to make it fit that format. I don't know if that was a calendaring oversight on the part of WCTC, but I would have liked 1 more week. So we'll work that out. So no worries on that. It's just a 1 credit course. The one thing you should know about the grading system, and we have the same policy down at Gateway and Racine, which is basically that you need to get a C or better in order for this class to count towards a degree program, right? So if you get a C minus and this program or this course is required in your program, you're going to be in the situation where you're retaking the course, right? I don't want to see that happen to anybody. So try to come each week, try to keep up with everything and try to get everything in on time and correct. And you will easily reach that grade. That won't be a problem. If you do run into, I'll call them, you know, life difficulties, right? Life happens when you least want it. That's how it goes, right? And, you know, just heads up for all you young people, as you get older, life doesn't get easier. It usually gets more challenging, not easier. So you got to kind of figure out how you're going to roll with that. But the whole point is, if you have something going on that's throwing you off course, I can't help you out or make accommodations if you do not inform me. So communication becomes really key when stuff is going down. You know, if you get sick or somebody dies or, you know, accident or something like that, just pop me an email, let me know what's up, and we can work things out is what I'll say. But I can't help you with anything unless you say something about it, right? What I don't want you to do is you don't have to like in this session, unmute your mic and say, hey, I'm dying. I don't want you to do something goofy like that. Please just email me. We can handle it outside the class environment. For those of you that have Zoom before here at WCTC, we can go into breakout rooms too and have a private conversation if necessary. And you can also send me a direct message in the chat that nobody else has to see or read, right? So like, if you got something going on at home, you need to split, just drop it in the chat and I'll be cool with it. All right. We do have some policies. The first thing that I will tell you is I take these policies somewhat loosely. Attendance is required. You guys paid to be here, so I figured you should show up, right? The problem is with a class that's this short, if you miss even one session, that's really a significant amount of absences. So let's try not to make that happen. If you do miss a class, it's not the end of the world. You would be responsible then on your own to review all the materials, and that would include the videos that we create, like the one I'm recording right now, on your own time, right? And then you can kind of treat that as replacement for the class that you missed. Now I'm going to give you guys a heads up, and I did try to work this out with our admin here, but I'm going to be gone during one of the weeks of class. I'm at a conference. We try to find a sub. Nobody could do it. So what I'm going to do for our third session is I will record the whole thing in advance and release it to you guys, and then you guys will work through it like you were in class, right? And if by some miracle they do find a sub and somebody can step in for me, fantastic, that'll happen. But as of now, all the other instructors who are capable of teaching this here at WCTC are not able to sub for me because they're either teaching or have other obligations. All right. Now, in terms of turning in homework, what's going to happen, and you'll see this, like I said, I haven't laid all the due dates yet, but for our first set of assignments, which we're going to be working through tonight, I'm going to give you until next week. Let's see, today's Monday. I'm going to give you till Sunday at midnight to get that stuff done, right? So we'll have plenty of time to get it done. As we move past that point, that due date will tighten up a little bit. So the week after, you'll have like 3 days after class to do it. And then obviously by the time we get to the end of the course, I can't let you have time after the end of the course to turn stuff in. So it'll be like immediately after the course ends, that stuff will be due. All right. So this late work policy, generally most things are due at 11:59 p.m. It's just how the system does it. Of course, I'm not sitting there at 12:01 a.m. waiting to grade your work, by the way. So if it's a little bit late, I don't worry about it too much. It's when it gets significantly late that it becomes a problem, right? Generally speaking, to earn all your points, you do the work correctly as instructed. There's no like syntax or logical errors. It runs, it's on time, and you followed all the formats that were required for turning it in, and you will earn all your points. That, I know it sounds like a lot of boxes to check, but actually, since we're all doing it in class together, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do that, right? And then if you didn't get it during class time, we're recording it so you can go back and watch it afterwards and get it right? So basically the answers are provided. So there's not really a lot of reason why it should be late or wrong, right? I mean, even if maybe you're not understanding exactly what you're doing, going through the mechanical process of copying it, believe it or not, embeds itself into your brain somehow for whatever reason. The one thing I am going to give you a heads up on, right? And I know that any of you that are experienced coders already will know this. Being in the generative AI era, we are in an era now where it is possible, right? And I've had students try this on me, where you can take like the assignment description, copy paste it into a generative AI and have it spit back code and have it work and generally be correct, right? However, I don't want you to do that. There's no reason for you to do that given, the way I'm running the class. But if you do that and you're caught doing it, fair warning, it's a serious academic offense. It's equivalent to plagiarism or cheating, right? It's okay in some regards. So like, hey man, how do I set up a for loop or something like that? And you go somewhere and you find one and you copy it in and you tweak it a little. That's a whole lot different than having an AI engine generate all of it for you. Yes, we're moving into the era of AI, and that's going to become more and more common, but you still need that knowledge on how everything operates in order to solve the problem correctly, right? The AI doesn't necessarily have the consciousness to get what you're doing. Often AI also generates code that is way too advanced and complicated for the simple problems that we're doing in this class. Um, so just fair warning. So please resist that temptation. I know there's lots of really cool tools out there where that can help you code, but you need to learn how to code so you get the concepts clearly. And then when you become a pro and you want to use AI, you just go right ahead and just do it. You know? But here in class, don't. CTC does have this like red squiggle rule, and if you're not familiar with what that means, with most coding engines, when you have an error in your code, it will often underline red to indicate there's a problem. So if you're turning in code with red squiggles, all right, I know this says here it will not be graded. I will grade it, but why are you not fixing it is really the question. If it's kind of like working in Microsoft Word and you get an underlined word that needs to be spell checked and it's underlining for a reason, why wouldn't you right click and fix it? You know what I mean? So same thing happens with coding, right? And just keep in mind, I'm giving you the answers, right? So there's no reason to have to like hunt for them really. All right. They have a bunch of rules here about how to like be a good person. I'll let you guys read those on your own. The school does have a bunch of standard policies, and I think a lot of them are common sense. So if you have any issues with any of like the standard WCTC policies, look through your student handbook. And if you have questions on anything in the syllabus, just please feel free to reach out and ask. Does anybody have any questions related to the syllabus in general here?
I have a question. Where did you say that you're going to post this video in Zoom? No, on YouTube?
Yeah, it will post to YouTube. I have a channel on YouTube, but all the class videos will also have links to those videos right
Okay.
here in this spot, right? And you can see what I put in here. Videos will be added to this area shortly after they are published. And you know what? I am following Patrick's format for this course, and he puts all his videos here. I may end up putting the videos in the modules. I'll figure that out as I go.
Okay.
Once you have a link to my YouTube channel, all the new videos typically, like this class goes till 10 o'clock at night. I'm probably not going to sit there and render and upload it that night. I want to step away from the machine at that point. But usually by the next day, by noon, it'll be posted. When it's posted, I'll send out an announcement so you guys know that you can access it. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll get those updates automatically. And I actually have two channels on YouTube, one from my other school, which I'm trying to retire, and then a new channel, which I run personally, which is more school agnostic, so to speak. I also discovered that, on my Gateway channel, I'm almost at 2,000 subscribers now. And I'm like, I could be monetizing this. So that's kind of a little bit of a, a little strategy there, basically. All right. If anybody else has a question, let me know.
I was just gonna say, how much is your other channel up to for channel views?
Not that high.
Oh, okay.
I've just started adding stuff to it since the fall. I think I'm up to like 60 or 70 subscribers. I don't know about the number of views though. That's a good question. Coding videos aren't always the most popular. It's not like a music video or something. So, all right, folks, I'm gonna end this video here.